of the Friendswood Downtown Economic Development Corporation to order. All right, that's agenda item number 1. Number 2 is communications from the public. We have no members of the public present at the moment. Well, here comes one. Item number 2 is communications from the public. Would anyone like to communicate with the board? Oh, Ms. Branson. Good, okay.
Don't
All right.
you have something to communicate? Sure.
Two things. First, I want to invite all of y'all to the ice cream social that'll happen on Labor Day over at the Brown Museum. We have a lovely new mural here in Friendswood, and I would like to respectfully ask y'all to consider donating to that. I reached out to all the nonprofits around town. Many of y'all are part of the nonprofits that have contributed, and I'd like to ask the Friends of Downtown Friendswood Association to, Friendswood Downtown Economic Development Corp., sorry, wrong one, because they've already donated. I'm asking y'all to donate $1,000 to that. We're going to have a plaque on the fence. It's going to list all of our nonprofits, and I really would like for our Downtown Economic Development Corp. To be a part of that group. The second thing, and I'm sorry he's not here, is Ron Cox has recently, he knows about it, he's going to be honored, but he has worked for many years, 10 plus years, in Iowa Colony. And they are now building their new city facilities. And they will be named Ron Cox Building. So I thought you all should know that your cohort here is being honored in a neighboring community. So I'm sorry he's not here to hear that, but very excited for him. So when you see him, tell him congratulations.
Sally, can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Can we donate as a entity?
We are in downtown, and so you can spend your money in downtown.
But as a donation?
Yeah.
Or are we buying $1,000 worth of ice cream?
No, this would not be.
That might
This
be
would
better.
not. No.
We can double
This
check.
would-
We can
we
double
would-
check the.
I mean, yeah.
This would be for art in downtown.
I just don't know.
In theory, it does go towards art in downtown and
It's art in
beautification.
downtown, 'cause it's the mural.
So we can double check and find out the best way to do that.
I think you're all missing the point. He wants $1,000
So if you,
I'm just one. So.
the ice cream will be free.
$300.
Ice cream is free to the public. That was a separate group that was donating towards that. But the mural, which is art in downtown, is something that you can, as an EDC, can contribute to. So it's art in downtown. And I hope it catches on. We're hoping to have more art in downtown. So, but great question. Thank you.
Is your mic on?
You don't sit down yet.
Is your
Uh-oh.
mic on? Is your mic
Alton?
on?
Oh, they don't, okay. We need to remember that we can only recommend that it be spent, and then city council has to approve that it can be sent. So it will be coming right back to you, Ms. Branson, and your group. I think that's rather ironic, don't you?
Yeah. I think she likes it. I think she
I'm
likes
wearing,
it.
I'm wearing my historical hat right now, not my council hat.
I know. But if
Well,
you get a chance, go by and look at that mural. It's right there on the Brown House property, and it's beautiful. McKenna Gianfortone did it. Harkler Road Gianfortone.
Yeah, and Rebecca's touching on something that's really, I think, cool. It's McKenna Harkler, she's now Jim Fortone, who grew up here, Friendswood High School graduate, now teaching in our school system, FISD school system. She is the artist, so I think it's really cool that it's kind of come full circle. So, and there are elements on the fence from reaching back to Friendswood's history, but the dominant elements are the agriculture from our Satsuma. Oranges, rice, figs, of course, strawberries, things like that. And I've heard tell potentially the school is going to start letting the FISD is going to allow students to come back and start touring in the museum again. So this is actually going to be part of, this will be like an outdoor classroom, if you will. So I'm not just art, but also a moment, to teach, to learn. So I'm very excited about it. It's just been an exciting project all the way around. So you can get free ice cream on Labor Day, and we'd love your contribution because I'd love to see the FDEDC on that placard that we're going to be putting up. So thank y'all for considering. Yes.
Pat, can I
Yes,
ask one more question?
yes.
Can we do this, because our next meeting won't be until September after, but I know you won't have the plaque because we can't put it on this agenda to vote on it. So it'll have to be on the September. Is that okay?
Yes, so what I was gonna do, and if I can get a soft okay, I'm gonna have banners made so that it won't be the permanent plaque to hang at the ice cream social so people can see who has contributed. And I'll make the plaque after the fact because I've got a couple of other organizations that just the way this fell, summer wasn't a good time for them, so I'm not gonna have the permanent plaque made yet. But I would love to have your name up in time for Labor Day. So, and I know I'd spoken with Stephen and Murad about this previously, so I apologize we didn't get it on your agenda for today, but we had good intentions.
Yeah, I hate to put a damper on it, but we really should discuss this as a formal agenda item. And I don't
Absolutely.
want to commit to a soft okay until we investigate and, look at our
Right.
mission and our
So-
charter and really
Understood.
be sure that it meets the goals of this corporation and is aligned with that.
I won't put it up anywhere. Stephen, that's my action item. Actually, it's your action item.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next is the approval of our minutes from our June meeting. That was sent to you all by email, and it's also right here at your desk. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Are there discussions, comments, edits for the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Item number 4, discussion and possible action. A is discuss and take possible action regarding the downtown lighting plan and TxDOT curbs, ramps, sidewalks, traffic signals project. Are you? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to start off with some quick updates just on some of the work that is taking place. These pictures that are shown up here are from this afternoon, right after lunch. So as you can tell here, and depending on which way you came to the meeting today, they are working on the section from Whispering Pines to Castlewood Drive. They have once they got started, they haven't slowed down. They're making good progress, getting the old sidewalks out and then getting the area prepared for the new sidewalks and the pavers. So just a few more pictures. This is just up the street, and so they're making quick work. They've already got steel down and everything's formed up. So looking forward to some of this getting going real quick.
Are they gonna put in the sidewalks first and then come back with the streetlight conduits?
That's my understanding. Is because it's going to be two separate processes and two separate contractors.
Okay.
And are those really 8 feet wide? They looked narrower.
So if you will recall some of the plans from TxDOT, depending on environmental conditions, some of those sidewalks were thinner in certain areas and then some widened backed out. And so depending on the location, some of those sidewalks are going to fan in and out, just kind of depending on the location, the environmental conditions, and then where they're going to go back and connect to existing sidewalks.
I believe they had a 1-foot brick border on either side. Is that gonna be outside of what we see there or inside?
It's going to be outside.
Outside.
Yes, sir.
So it's gonna be another 2. There you go.
Right. It is kind of deceiving when you look at it. The forms itself is going to be the concrete, but the actual pavers will be outside of that. So it is. You're not the first person to point that out. When they first put in the forms, someone driving back to the office actually came up and mentioned it one day. So we went out and took a look. But I've confirmed on the plan set for this section. I've confirmed on the plan set that it is going to be wider than that. What appears to be a little 4 or 5 foot section of sidewalk.
2 feet.
You guys have comments for the group?
Only comment, I did notice, I actually stopped and looked at it because I was it's cool, something's happening. In places, the ground is substantially higher.
Is your mic on, by the way?
Oh, no. I was talking to you.
Got to talk to the public.
Okay. The only comment is I stopped and looked at it because it is what we're doing in action, and that's great. I did notice that the ground is much higher in some places as they had to cut into it to make it all level and all, and I'm not sure how we bevel that edge, maybe with a tractor or something. The only thing I was really crossed my mind was so the ground wouldn't erode and collapse on top of bury our sidewalk in dirt. So we may have to trim that edge back so it doesn't just start, rain washing it out on there. I mean, it's a finish on the end of the thing, but
And that's something that we can follow up with TxDOT as they move a little
you know what
forward.
I'm talking about? Do you see it?
Oh, no, for sure. And I think it's beneficial that it is going to be going in sections. So this first section here, if we do find issues that we think might be of concern, we can point those out and for the entirety of the project.
And I'm not complaining at all. I mean, they had to do what they did, but on those parts where it's a foot higher and right next to it, I think we need to bevel that edge or that's just going to collapse onto our cool looking sidewalk.
Thank you. Nope, proceed, Stephen.
The TxDOT, they advised us this week that they will be working with Friends Church directly. We've gone through a couple of iterations and the documents that Friends Church wants in order to move forward, kind of put the city of Friendswood in the middle. The engineering department who was working with them, they want some survey data and some meets and bounds data. And so we passed that off to TxDOT because they have all that data in-house. And so we asked them to provide it to the church. They called us and said, instead of the city being the middleman, we'll just deal with them directly. So they're going to go work with the church, and so hopefully we can get that taken care of quickly. The easement that they are talking about is just for that corner clip for the ramp and then the mast arm. As we all know, the sidewalk has already been, we've been told the sidewalk will not continue in front of the church. The engineering department continues working with HDR Engineering and Gandy Lighting Design to compile the RFP for the lighting project. We're hoping for the end of August or September we can have this done. Unfortunately, staff has run into some coronavirus issues, and so we're working from home whenever the illness allows and trying to get things done on top of regular duties. So hopefully we can get that taken care of. Both HDR and Gandy are being responsive, so hopefully we can push forward with that and get something back pretty quick. Something that I wanted to bring up was knowing that this is coming hopefully sooner than later is a public outreach strategy for the light replacements. Not so much for the new lights going in for the taller mast arms, but the lights that we're going to have to be removing from existing businesses and putting in these new ones. I think everyone was on board with this a few years ago when the plan came out. However, it's now been a couple of years. And so folks have either forgotten or moved on. And so as this project does come to light, there is the potential for some folks to maybe be a little upset or confused about what's taking place. Whether that means trying to drum up folks to come to a public meeting like this and ask them to come in, or if that means a different type of outreach, whether it's some type of a scheduled meeting for the downtown folks to have them come in after 5 or 6 o'clock someday or something like that. I'm open for ideas. We do have some time. But I do think pushing this out there sooner than later is going to be beneficial for everybody involved.
Steve, are you concerned about specific property owners?
In this instance, I'm really not. Maybe some of the top of my head would be the ones that maybe installed them just within the past year, 2 years, depending, or if they've had to go and replace ones that had maybe deteriorated over the last 5 or 6 years. Those would be the ones I just off the top of my head would think of right off the bat. I think if given enough information and shown what's going to go in its place, and once we get some timelines that are kind of narrowed down, I'm hoping that there won't be any trepidation. But again, I didn't pay for the lights and I didn't install them, so I don't know how everybody's attitude is going to be.
Everybody think that's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea, yeah. The last thing we want to do is just show up on site to install these lights and then deal with that after the fact. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I agree, and I'm not sure what it's going to look like, whether you know the owners of the property much better than I do. I know some of you may know more of them, but if it would be better for a small one-on-one where we go to them, set up an appointment, or if it's better to try to do it in mass. Personally, I kind of think if we don't inconvenience them too much and go to them, I think that might win some goodwill to accepting our plan.
When you say we, do you mean us members of the board or do you mean city staff?
I mean a combination of both.
Okay.
And we don't have to all go, but that would be a little intimidating. But, you know, like Pat, you could go to all of them. I'm delegating. But I just think if an appointment is made at their convenience for us to go to them with city staff to explain what's going to be happening, I think it would be much better received than you're invited to a meeting for us to talk about how we're going to take your lights out,
Yes.
figuratively or whatever. That's personal opinion.
Trey, you're a developer. You know these things. You might even know some of the people.
I don't know if I'm a developer.
You're
I'm a
You're a
small,
businessman.
a small guy.
okay.
I have mixed feelings on both of them. One of them, it'll be lethargic to go to every single one. I'll give you an example. Like restaurant guys just aren't standing around generally. They're all working. So it's hard to make a time to cut into their, one is specifically, I sent him a text yesterday. 6 hours later, I went over there to see what he was going. He said, I haven't even read it. I hadn't had time. And I watched him and he hadn't had time. Others, that wouldn't be any problem. It'd be much more quick to do it all in one group invited meeting here, although that can go good or bad. But I'm not sure the correct answer on that yet.
And I don't know that I do either.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out an idea.
Well, yeah, so we're discussing, I guess, but I'm not certain what the way to get. Some people probably won't have a problem. I think others may say, well, no, I'll just keep my regular lights. I mean, you could get into that too. So it's a subject we'll have to broach with them.
Well, and before we get into those discussions, we need to keep in mind, we need to know exactly what all that entails. It's not just removing the light, it's removing the foundation also. And doing any repair work, and if the light foundation is in the brick pavers, that's gonna have to be repaired as well. So we need to work out all those details. But before we contact the property owners.
I'll tell you, I do, one thing that was in my mind was, I think if we had some type of illustration of what our lights were gonna be that we could leave with them, that, because simply saying, hey, we're gonna take your lights out and put a new one, I don't know if that would mean much. You know, we all been looking at this stuff. They have no idea what we're talking about. So some illustration of what one of the fixtures looks like might help jump some of the hurdles.
Okay, well, what's the action tonight? Should we have you all compile a list? I mean, if it's 10 people, that's one thing. If it's 50 people, I don't know that we all have the bandwidth to attend all those meetings.
I think staff can work out some type of a tentative schedule. It doesn't have to have any dates set or anything, but something that's set up to where maybe we can meet with some of the larger landowners and stakeholders, those that have the most lights on their properties first, or maybe one or two at a time, just for convenience sake. And then if we need to, before everything kicks off, then we can have maybe something set up here or in a larger setting to where we can try to allay the fears of everybody else that maybe may have questions or concerns.
Is this something, because we are in a sense representing the city, is this something we need to run by council and mayor once we work out a plan that this is what we hope to do?
I think providing the framework of what we hope to do is highly beneficial. Ultimately, if the money is chosen to be spent on the lights, whether it's the entirety of downtown or a section of downtown, just like anything else, it would come through here and then it would go to council. So whether people show up to this meeting to talk about lights, the time difference between this meeting and the council meeting provides a whole lot more time for people to come up to speed and potentially show up to a council meeting and lay the concerns there instead of at a forum prior to that. So whether it's prior to that, this meeting, or the subsequent council meeting where the funding is decided on, I would hope that between now and then we can get everybody on the same page and then have council and FTDC up to speed on what's taking place.
I will add, I think it would be advantageous for council if we could alleviate most of it before then. I can't say there won't be one person that goes to a council meeting and says, I hate your light, but I don't know if we should dump it on them and maybe we need to handle as much of that as we can.
Yes, sir.
And I was thinking more in terms of letting council know that we are going to be reaching out to landowners rather than what I'm hearing you
You're-
refer to, Trey.
Well, you're absolutely correct. We need to tell them, because if we go out and start beating the bushes and talking to people, they may well contact their favorite council person and say what's going on, and they shouldn't be caught off guard if we're going to be addressing citizens. So,
I think we have plenty of direction in what we can do, and how to make sure that, number one, council's aware, and then, two, we'll start setting up some conversations with folks so we can start making everyone aware.
You know, I think too, Stephen, from a diplomacy standpoint, I think it's a good idea. We probably don't have to go to council because we're not spending money.
Right.
But it's a good idea. Diplomacy takes you a long ways. But it seems to me too, to avoid problems, we need a consistent presentation to each landowner. It can't be different from the big one to the small one. And whatever it is needs to be the same or close to it.
Yes, sir.
Stephen, when is our next regularly scheduled status to council?
So, in fact, that was something I need to speak with Dr. McGinnis about after this meeting. Is he is scheduled for October to give his update.
Okay.
well, you'll have something to say that we actually are doing something other than talking about it.
I was just thinking of an opportunity to relay to council what we were thinking about doing, so in case somebody calls their favorite councilman and complains. But October is probably gonna be a little late.
My guess is it will be fairly widely received well out there. I mean, you can't ever say that about any group of people. I don't know all those people, but I'm not expecting a riot or anything. But I like he said, I think talking to them before we go out there with a jackhammer is probably a good idea.
Hard hat and hammer.
Yeah, we're here to tear down your lights.
Yeah. There's gonna be cave people everywhere. Citizens against virtually everything.
What do you call them? Cave people?
Cave
Cave
people.
Cave people.
Citizens against virtually
They
everything.
used to be NIMBYs, but now they're cave people.
Okay. Please.
Aubrey writes that down.
Oh, here we go.
Just listening to you all chat, and you are right, we do get, when something happens, people call us because, we have friends. I wondered if this could be a workshop item in our next council meeting. And then if I were a property owner, and I know some of you are property owners on Friendswood Drive, if someone called me and said, hey, we've got a workshop item, we'd really like for you to come and sit in and hear this, and then we'd like to set up a meeting with you afterward to discuss any concerns or any questions you might have, I'd feel special that I was asked to attend and to witness it. Because I do think Alton has a great point that you want to have a consistent message, but you also want to allow them that one-on-one, which is what Rebecca was talking about. So maybe our September council meeting, this could be a workshop item. So, because I do think council is going to really be excited and want to hear the details of it, because the devil is always in the details. So that'd just be a thought.
Would you consider it as a joint workshop item for our corporation together with council, or really it's a council topic to discuss?
So typically when we have a workshop item, someone will come and present what's going on, and we'll talk about like capital improvements or what have you. This is an improvement. I mean, so you all could be presenting to council as a workshop item, be the way I would suggest it. Because there's lots of, when it's a workshop item versus an agenda item, you have room for give and take.
Yeah.
You can discuss it, which I think is what you all would like to be able to do, and to get council's thoughts on it. If you make it an agenda item, it kind of adds a lot of formality to it. So I would suggest a workshop item. Not for the public necessarily, but for FTEDC and council. And then you invite your property owners that are going to be affected to come and see that workshop, and then let them know ahead of time that you would do some one-on-ones with them following it as quickly as you can. Because I agree, if we can get to them before they have issues and concerns, it may alleviate a lot of the issues and concerns. So being proactive versus reactive
think
always
that's a good
works
idea.
better. So just a thought.
I'm going to throw this out there, and it's got flaws in it, but just, we can't talk unless we're in this public setting. So I'm going to just say, is it possible that we could just send everybody mail or an email that's impacted by this, and tell them what we're going to do, And if they would like to attend a meeting like that or speak to us individually, to contact us and we'll do it. And what my point would be there is to shrink down the amount of hand-in-hand contact you'd have to do. Any idea how many property owners we're in touch?
Not off the top of my head. We do have a list of all folks that are normally impacted, say, by the downtown parades and things like that. So we do have addresses, we do mailers, and we do contacts. So it wouldn't be hard to get the list. We would just have to double check it against those properties that are actually going to have work taking place on them, because not everyone may have work. So
I mean, my guess it'd be 50.
most likely, at least.
I mean, it's going to be around that. It ain't going to be 10. It's going to be 50 or more, I would think. And what I'm thinking, if you did a mail and addressed it to them, that there's a workshop possibly you can get information at. We could attend that if need be. Or there, we welcome you to let us know and we'll come by and explain it to you. And you might shrink that 50 down to, 10.
Are you talking about the replacement or just actual property owners?
Probably the property owners, just to,
Okay, because that's two separate
well,
items, I would think. We were talking about just the lighting replacement.
well, I'm talking about when we touch
Okay.
those property owners, that's when they're
Okay.
gonna get uptight.
We might consider both.
I think in the spirit of diplomacy, the more is merrier in this sense. So we can look at a workshop item. We can look at items here. We can look at setting up. I don't necessarily like the term town hall, but something where we can visit with more than one at any given time. And again, if there's others that are going to be impacted more than others, we can have a sit down with those folks as well, one-on-one, or maybe just a couple with members of the corporation along with city staff to be there to explain. One thing that I do want to do is, in the spirit of having a consistent plan throughout, is to get a little further in the RFP process before we propose a plan of saying this is what we are going to do, because a consistent plan is not necessarily, in general it works, but each individual property is going to be different. What you have to remove and replace on one property is going to be absolutely different than the next. Without knowing what's underground, without knowing anything like that. It could take a week, it could take 3 weeks, depending on, construction, whatever it might be. So as we get maybe a little further before we hold any very specific type meetings, but definitely before that, we can go ahead and kind of plant the seed of this is coming, this is part of the plan. We can workshop with council and to ask them any questions that may come up, whether it's with the public or with the group here. And it also gives us the opportunity to change things in the RFP should new information come out after the workshop. We're not so far down the line that we're looking to go back and redo everything.
So you think a workshop in September with the city council, or do you think?
I would have to double check what we have now. There will be a drainage report coming in September, but I'm not sure what else. I'll double check the agenda, but if we have room for it, for sure.
Okay. I see people nodding. All right. Is that an action item? Do we need to?
I think we have enough direction.
Okay, good. Item B, discuss and take possible action regarding downtown signage and branding.
I wasn't aware that I made
Calm down.
I made this work like this, but I kind of like it if it goes in order. One thing that we started to look at, I know we've talked about it over the past months, is the creation of the downtown Friendswood's brand expression and identity. That first little paragraph there is directly out of the downtown improvement plan when you get back to the branding and marketing scheme. I know we did go out for the RFP and we chose not to move forward, which I think is in the best interest. In the meantime, staff has looked to what's known as buy boards or co-ops. It's very similar to an RFP, but except we do not have to, and we very generally, you do not have to go to a bidding system. These are folks that have already been vetted, and you can just go to them, and you're able to use them, and the corporation's able to spend money there without having to go through the full RFP process. So we were working with two of these companies. We basically provided them with the documents that were in the RFP, and we've asked them to put together a list, let us know what they can and can't do, and get back to us. One of them has has responded already, just with a couple of questions, which we've answered. And so they're both looking for the median signage, which is kind of shown here in this picture, along with some of the TxDOT street signage along 518. Because, we'll go to the next slide, there is a potential for the city of Friendswood to do, our Public Works Department to create the majority of the downtown district signs, which is, if you look towards in the plan, it's what's up on your screen there. The depending on the outcome of the next council meeting and a budget amendment there will be an item for a new street sign machine that is going to replace our outdated one. This one has the ability, has a plotter and has the ability to do large signs in color and do everything in-house. So if everything works smoothly there and we get to purchase that, we should have it here in a couple of months. The only thing that so far would be to ask the FTDC just to fund the startup cost for those signs. You'll notice that the street signs have that bump out on top, which makes them just an irregular or a kind of a custom placard. So if we can get a sign inventory going, how many signs we will need for all the cross streets, we would be able to invoice, City of Friendswood would be able to invoice the FTDC for the labor materials, whatever it takes to get it working on the machine, and having the labor to have the Public Works folks go out and install these signs as time allows. Once the signs are up and funded originally, the City of Friendswood will take over, and they'll be like any other sign at that point, that if it gets damaged, if it gets run over, at this point, the only thing the Director of Public Works asks is that we upfront him maybe 4 or 5 blank placards, just in case something happens or somebody gets a little, they really like the downtown logo and they really want to go steal one of these or something, that we have them available quickly instead of having to pre-order or to go ahead and order them.
Are some of these signs going to be installed on the mast arms for the?
So the mast arms is kind of a two-pronged question at the moment. So one, I am not sure if the machine that we have is going to have the ability to construct them.
Yeah, because they're typically larger.
They're larger. If the machine does, then yes, we should be able to do that. It's just a matter of buying the placards. And then a plotter is no more than a very large printer, and you just print on the proper size paper, and you can make the sign. If not, we would have to go out and have those made elsewhere. I will mention, and we are in the process right now of continuing to deal with TxDOT regarding the sign color. So the orange and the white on orange is if you look at the traffic manual, is kind of a cautionary color. We do think that they would allow it, but the answer that we get is submit it, and we'll go from there. So once we can figure out if we can make it or not, either the city will will submit it, or we will have whichever contractor we choose potentially to submit that to TxDOT for approval.
Wouldn't you be a little shocked that someone from TxDOT in Austin would not approve orange and white?
It may be the issue that we're working with the local office. It may be more of a cougar red or something that they're looking for. I'm not sure. So.
Bubba's mic's not working. He said if that doesn't work, maroon is an additional consideration.
I figured you were gonna make the brown part maroon.
Just for clarification, the city is going to buy this machine?
The machine itself, the sign making machine, that has been it's a potential purchase by our Public Works Department for the other street signs in town, and so that will be coming before council next month.
And we're just buying materials for the downtown district?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, didn't want to get out of our lane.
Yeah. Lease it back to the city.
So to move kind of in the same vein with the marketing, and again, it's all about the brand expression and to identify with the business partners. This is directly out of the downtown study that was done to try to get some placemaking, to get some cohesion throughout the downtown area. These are again straight out of the book. Was the for the local merchants to show and support for downtown Friendswood by displaying their partner stickers. These are some of the decals that were outlined in the study in a way to allow them to identify themselves as downtown. So as long with the placemaking, with the signage, and the potential for having these on windows and things like that, it kind of identifies them as just downtown businesses. And this is considered one of the air quotes here, the low-hanging fruit projects, kind of along with the signage. It's something that we think we can do quickly. So quickly, in fact, I asked Katie, who was our social media coordinator, to go ahead and kind of pre-fund some of these. And so we had these come in just yesterday. And so what we're looking for, you can just pass those down.
Cool, what is that?
For anyone that potentially has a downtown business and wants to steal a couple of stickers.
All right, love it.
So we've had these made. We have plenty to go around for downtown.
This is hot off the presses, huh?
These came in just yesterday, and believe it or not, a bottle of hot sauce came with it. Don't ask me, but that is apparently one of the deals. And so these are just 3, and there's a few other decals in the same vein that we chose, just for the simplicity and the ease of getting them up and running. And so these are now available to be distributed to the folks downtown. We should have enough for every business to get one, if not maybe 2, depending on what they like. And so we would, if anyone here knows of any businesses downtown that they would like to personally deliver, otherwise myself and maybe a couple others, as we visit the businesses downtown, maybe hit up a shopping center now and then and try to distribute some of these, to go ahead and pass them out and get some of that cohesion started, maybe some of the talk, and maybe encourage folks to maybe come participate a little bit.
What money's on this one?
Yeah. Pat?
Yes.
Is there any restriction on any business using these, like, on their bags, their sacks, or on other things that they might hand out to the public? I know they don't want them on their business card, but, some people might like to put just a little on their bag to remind them where they are.
That's a good question. It's something that we can look into.
In other words, it's not copyrighted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's just good advertising for everybody.
Yeah.
But we don't provide the stickers, they have to make their own.
Well, I'm not saying buy a yeah, they'd have to buy their own. But, if they didn't want to put a sticker, or they wanted to just have it printed on their sacks to remind people, oh yeah, this is Maroon Market and it's downtown Friendswood.
I think that's a good idea.
It's something that we can look into
Yeah.
and see if we have any type of issues with allowing the logo to be used elsewhere. It is a logo that was intended to be used all over downtown, so I'm hoping there's no issues. We can definitely find out though.
Would this be subject to change if TxDOT didn't approve?
So the decals themselves, not
color,
necessarily.
the color.
The color potentially, but again, the TxDOT's decision is only going to be for the signage.
Okay.
And so
But these would be, like, you showed this in the median, the sign in the median.
it potentially could change, but the orange and the teal were basically the colors that were chosen, much like the teal sticker that I handed out. Those will be those colors were represented in the study itself to be used throughout downtown. So even if it can't be used in the median,
On this one.
nothing says that it can't be used in a storefront somewhere if they wanted to.
All right, this is an off-subject question. And I do that. But my mind just thought, is this emblem that's going to be in the medians, is it going to be lighted?
The study, listen, easy answer is no. But could it?
Yes.
It just depends. I mean, it depends on a couple of factors. One, we're dealing with TxDOT, and so depending on if it can be lighted or not, may be up to them, because it is their right of way. So we would have to wait and see what their decision is. If the thought is to have it lighted on the median ends for both ends of the downtown district, we can propose that in our permitting and see where it goes from there.
I think it would be very nice, and we could do it solarly,
Right.
Is that such a word, solarly, but with solar power?
That's what we do with the entry signs now.
Okay,
They're solar
good.
panels that light those up.
I know that was off subject, but
No, it wasn't.
my mind just went there, and I thought, we need to.
It's all part of branding, I think.
Yes, it is.
I think it looked good.
I do too. Thank you.
Didn't we talk about KFB having a grant, and is this something low-hanging fruit that they could
So
pay for us?
we
or
keep
work with
Friendswood
us?
beautiful, and it's actually have it later on in the
Oh,
in the presentation here. But they have they've asked that if anybody from the FTDC wants to show up at their next meeting, I believe it's on the 24th, end of the month, over at Stevenson Park at the Pavilion. I'll pull up a date here in just a second in the presentation. In speaking with their staff liaison, they are awaiting to hear from TxDOT about an entryway project that they are looking to do over here at Stevenson Park, and to see what kind of funding is going to be remaining should that move forward.
okay.
But they did ask and did mention that there's the meeting later this month, and if anybody wanted to show up to discuss, you guys are more than welcome.
I was gonna say, you're gonna be there, aren't you?
Going to your last slide about the pre-approved vendors, who vets them? Is that HGAC? Is that
Correct.
TxDOT?
It's HGAC, and so they are vetted to be used by municipalities all over, and then other governmental agencies. So you don't have to go out and go for bids. You don't have to go through an RFP process. You can just call them up and say, "I need a sign made," and go from there. They've already been vetted. So it's one of the tools that's used often by some of our city departments, depending on what needs to be done. So we are hoping we get good news back from those folks, even if they can just do maybe the medians, or maybe they can do a couple of projects that are within their scope of the downtown branding and signage. But we'll obviously have to bring those back to you guys.
Are there other items for 4B? Good questions. All right. Next, report 5A, receive and discuss downtown district's project schedule.
And so this is just updated. I've mentioned to you guys that I would have this on every month, just to keep everybody kind of up to date. There's nothing too new here outside of I did push the RFP and the schedule out for the lighting, just based upon some of the current events. And the contractor still says that they would be done by the end of December for the sidewalks. So hopefully, pending any other weather delays that they have, hopefully they can make up some time. But I would not honestly be surprised if they bled over into 2022 a little bit, just depending on what takes place from here on out.
Is this just sidewalks, or is this?
That's what I was gonna ask. Does this include traffic signals?
Yes. So the TxDOT projects and sidewalks, and I can go in and this is just for ease of viewing in an Excel worksheet. The TxDOT sidewalks, that is the entirety of the project.
Okay,
So
no further questions?
Go ahead.
No further questions on that part? Then,
Getting the sidewalks accomplished alone is a pretty big deal.
I know.
Yes, it is.
It's only never been done.
Well,
It's a pretty big deal.
let's not pat ourselves on the back just yet.
But can we have a party?
When the last block of concrete is poured, how about that?
the scheduling does make it look like New Year's Eve 2022, so just throwing that out there.
It'll get a little soft in the holidays.
Mhm.
Let's get-
Oh, I can't either.
Okay, moving on to 5B, receive and discuss FDEDC financial report for July 2021.
So I am sad to say that I missed the meeting when Aubrey got to tell you that y'all went over 2 million. So congratulations there.
She took all the glory.
She deserves it, absolutely. So I'm going to tell you that from the beginning fund balance of $2,074,293, along with a revenue for July of $54,490, and then the standard $1333 for the staff services. The ending fund balance, and that should say, July of 2021 is $2,127,450. So you guys just keep building. That's great.
Yeah.
A lot of sales.
All right, any questions on, or comments on our financial performance?
1/8 of a penny adds up.
Yeah. Okay, next item, comments from staff members.
Again, I just wanted to point out, that was what mentioned earlier about Keep Friendswood Beautiful having their meeting at Stevenson Park at the Pavilion on August 24th. I believe that was at 6 p.m. I'd have to double check. Maybe I haven't told you yet. I'll confirm a time, but I'll make sure to send out an invite to folks if they want to go, just so they have it.
So Paul, you're on that committee?
I am,
Okay,
yes.
so
No.
you can represent us.
I can.
Okay.
Aubrey, did you have anything?
It's usually 6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
I'm not saying that's the gospel.
All right, item 6B is board member comments. Let's start with ladies first.
Oh, you're fine, thank you. First off, I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. Thank you very much, and it's great to see progress. My other comment is this. The school district. Microphone. Oh, sorry. I was applauding all the work that has gone into this. The school district is in the process of putting our $128 million bond issue into action. With that, the houses that we own on Mustang and Pride and Falling Leaf are going to be torn down probably the middle of September. With that, there may be some trees on that property that the city might like to consider possibly saving or moving or whatever. I have not walked the property. I do not know. But that piece of property will become tennis courts before the end of December. And the tennis courts where they are now will be razzed, and they will become the site for the new auditorium, the freestanding auditorium that we're going to build. And we have to have that land free and sitting, and I know there's a term for it, Trey, and I don't know what it is, but it's got to set for 14 months. So we have to so it settles really well and we have no foundation problems. Anyway, so we have to get that process going with that. You can also go on eBay and check and see if there's anything in there that you might want out of those houses. You just have to be responsible for taking it away, whatever you buy. But I thought maybe there might be some trees or shrubs or something that might want to be saved. I don't know what the district is saving, but I thought, let's save it if we can. That was a lot of information.
Well, I think it's pretty expensive to move trees.
It is.
And I know, I think League City did this several years ago and turned into a big hubbub. We'd have to put that on the agenda because it would be a major cost.
Correct.
If that's something that we wish to do.
And it's going to be cleared fast. So there's not a lot of lead time, I'll be honest. But I just wanted to give the city the opportunity to know that it's there and if there's the possibility.
Is the city council interested? Or do they know?
The city council has now been informed.
Just heard, okay.
I did mention to Mr. Rohr today about the possibility, because Friends Church has that one oak tree that is dying on their property. And I mentioned to him about the possibility of saving a tree from those pieces of property for possible replacement of that tree. So, it's just a thought, and it may not work for anything. But a lot is going to be happening over there in the next 6 weeks.
Well, we could put that on next month's
Yes, we
agenda
can.
for full discussion, I would suggest.
Thank
Let me
you.
just do two follow-ups. You can transplant trees up to a certain size with a tree truck and have a pretty good success if you're really trying to save a tree. Once a tree's so big, the odds of that working get pretty low.
Yes.
And I just want to throw out a possible, maybe y'all consider saving one of the houses intact, and then people can go in there for $1 a swing with a sledgehammer and tear it up, and it could be like a fundraiser. You go and like break a toilet or a sink or something, and it could be fun. I mean,
Actually, Trey, you laugh, but we're saving.
I'm not laughing.
Well, okay. Well, somebody was chuckling. But anyway, we are saving one house as the workshop where all of the contractors will work out of
Yeah.
for all the projects at the high school.
Yeah.
And then when we get ready to tear that down, that's a great idea.
So I'm not joking. but
I'm
when
not
I
either.
When I was a young kid in high school, we had this deal where they put an old junk car out there, and you got to slam it with a hammer for like $1, and everybody thought it was fun. And I don't know if it made any money, but anyway, just crossed my
It was
mind.
during football season. We
Yes.
did before football games.
Yes,
Oh, I think it's
it actually happened. The
I
school
think
did
it's
it.
a great idea, and I don't think we could put it together for the demolition of the 5 houses that are going to go, but for the one that's going to be left as the workhouse for all the contractors, that's a very good possibility.
Of course, you could raise a bunch of hoodlums that know how to smash stuff too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Or get the local firebugs and
Yeah.
set it on fire for training for our fire department.
I
On
look-
that note, it's Paul's turn. I'm not trying to take charge, Pat, but it's Paul's turn.
I don't have anything. I'm good.
Bubba?
Yeah, I'm just really getting more and more enthusiastic and excited about the work that's actually happening. I mean, I live on the south side of Friendswood. Whenever I come into town, I go by this construction on these sidewalks. Been doing it for a couple of weeks now. I'm like, we're doing that. That's exciting. I tell people, and they go, "Oh, you're the reason that we have one lane down there. And there's a big traffic jam. There's dust and everything." I'm like, "Yes, we are." So things are, dirt's getting moved, farms are being set, concrete's about to be poured. So things are happening. I'm just enthusiastic about it. I think it's great. And again, thank you for Stephen and Aubrey and everything that y'all do for us. And let's keep going. Let's keep the momentum going. That's it.
Thank you. Trey?
I had somebody ask me the other day on that sidewalk. They go, "What's going on?" I said, "We're doing that." The exact same thing he said. They go, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's a long story." Anyways, I don't know. We've been on this for what, 6, 7 years, and that's a joke. I know it hadn't been that long.
5
But
years.
I want to thank the city staff because you're the backbone of all that getting done. I mean, we're over here talking about it and all, but I know at the end of the day, it comes down to nuts and bolts and those bid packages, and it's a grind. Appreciate y'all doing that. And anybody else at the city that I don't even know about that's maybe assisted on that, appreciate them doing that. But Bubba's right. I mean, it's been a journey to get here, but something's actually happening. That schedule is so encouraging. Things are really happening. To connect the sidewalk seems like, to most people, probably not a big deal. They've been trying to do it forever. It's actually going to get done in our time. So, and I look forward to all the rest of the stuff. It'll be something good.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking, the journey doesn't end when we finish these projects, though, and they'll be finished here in the pretty near future. And while it's taken a while to get here, we just need to start having a vision for what we do next. And at some point in time, it needs to be pretty soon, actually, because in 6 months, this is going to be done. And I'm not sure what those projects are, but they're out there, and we need to be thinking about that. That's all I had to say.
That's a great point. Thank you. I don't have anything to add. I just want to thank the staff for all your work. I think Trey said it. You all do the nuts and bolts of things from month to month. So we're all proud of the accomplishments thus far. Okay, next item is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.